Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Allie.
For everybody who listens, you will know that Allie was not here last week, but we had a fantastic time with Amy. I had a fantastic time with Amy. Amy's going to come back on. Don't worry, everybody. Don't miss Amy too much. She'll be back. But Allie is sat here wearing the jersey of the team that is going to win the next World Cup, and I just love to see it.
Yeah, for anybody not following the saga, I have betrayed my country and bought a US national team shirt with the one, the only, Becky Selbert on the back. So
Yeah, you better explain yourself a little bit as to why you're wearing that.
I am. I'm wearing it because A, it's comfortable, and B, to represent a player that transcends allegiances. That is Becky Selbert, who is probably my favourite US player.
There are a few players that do, and she is one of them. And Leah Williamson is one of them, which we're going to talk about in a second. I'm sorry to bring that up first thing, everybody, but on a happier note, I know there was something you wanted to celebrate.
I was going to say, on a happier note, and maybe a third player that transcends allegiances, though I do think she's a bit more divisive. The one, the only, the England hero, Ellen White, has had her baby. She has had a little girl, so maybe a future lioness out there. Not to put the pressure on her, but we just want to say congratulations from the WOSO show to Ellen and her husband. So, we have to talk about the two big games that was this weekend, which was the Champions League semi-final first leg. We've got two English teams in the semi-finals for the first time, and so we are uber excited. So we're going to talk about it. It's Chelsea, Barca, and Arsenal, Wolfsburg. And let's start off by saying that these ties were closer than most people anticipated. We all know what happened last time, Chelsea-Barca, the 4 goals in 30 minutes. So we were probably expecting it was going to be a continental whiteout.
You know what? I wasn't, though. I have to say, you go back and check my bracket. I actually have Chelsea winning this entire, going to the finals, but we're going to get how likely that is still. We'll get into. I mean, it's definitely not out of the question. Both of these are still up for grabs. But to your point, if I was going to pick an English side from this weekend that was going to lose and one that was going to tie, it wouldn't have been how it fell, you know?
Exactly. But we can't count any team out, so we're going to talk about them game by game. First off, let's take it chronologically. Let's talk Chelsea versus Barca. This was a game that had everything, and I know, just very quickly, England fans' heart in their mouths when Lucy Bronze went down. Luckily, her coach is saying it wasn't as bad as it seemed. They took her off as a precaution. She's now, putting weight on it. She's looking good.
It's all right.
She was out there doing the handshakes. England fans can breathe a sigh of relief.
Barca, speaking of Lucy Bronze, Barca putting one away early in this game. I know Chelsea must have gone into that locker room at halftime just really upset at themselves about that, because with that one exception, they played a fantastic game.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. To take, and also to keep it at 1-0. As Emma Hayes said, they're going in. She said, I wanted to go into the second tie with a shot. And we've got that. We have a shot at overturning it, which is...
Yeah, I mean, it's a delicate balance. And I want to talk about how Chelsea rebounded from that goal, because I think that's really important. And I think it's all encompassing, because it was a delicate balance for Emma Hayes. You're down 1-0, and you know you're going in to Barcelona's home stadium in the next leg. So how many goals do you want to make up? How many players do you want to try to push forward, knowing that when you do so, you leave yourself open to potentially going down 2 goals? That feels relatively insurmountable.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. You did sort of feel like they were parking a bus a bit and not pushing forward. But can we talk about the Chelsea defence just very quickly?
Please, because I love how they responded to that Barca goal. So let's do it.
Jess Carter, for me, she's had some great moments in her Chelsea career and some questionable moments, but this game is answering every critic who's why is she getting an England call up? This. Why is she starting for Chelsea? This. She was an absolute rock at the back.
Yes.
And then after that first goal went in, you can tell she didn't get her head down. She didn't stop. She just was right, and was phenomenal at keeping those Barcelona players at bay.
Absolutely. I've got one word for anybody who thinks, who questions why Jess Carter's in there, and it's consistency. I don't know that I've actually seen her have a bad game. She is consistent and filling in the massive shoes of Millie Bright and what she was able to do. I mean, Graham Hansen was it is a next level player, but was on just a next level in that game. And for the Chelsea defense to be able to stop Graham Hansen and the entire Barcelona attack, it is a true testament to their individual skill, but also their organization as a team.
And also, changing up at the top, the link up between Kerr and Brighton was, again, something so special, and they were so unlucky with that offside.
Yeah, they were massively unlucky with that. But I will say, I mean, I'm totally with you. The Kerr-Brighton link up, it was working in the first half, right? Chelsea responded so well to that goal, and all of a sudden it was opportunity after opportunity, and they were really finding each other. And then it became a little bit predictable, and there were about 3 or 4 dangerous opportunities, and then Barcelona started to get a handle on what Chelsea was doing, and the opportunities were fewer and fewer, and that's when it became clear Emma Hayes needed to make a change, and she did. And I like that she put Lauren James on. I thought that was the correct decision, but I found, unfortunately, that Lauren James didn't come up big in the big game like Hayes really needed her to.
Yeah, like she was bringing the ball forward, which they weren't doing as well, and it did give the Chelsea defenders a bit of respite, but she wasn't really doing much with it.
Yeah, she was working hard on defense, and I'll give her that, because Chelsea did need that. They needed those fresh legs, but yeah, it didn't insert that spark that they needed that spark on the attack, and James and Kerr were really never able to find each other. There was really nothing in that sense by the end of the second half.
Yeah, you say about predictable. The Barcelona manager was actually said in an interview, we were aware of the direct game and Sam Kerr passing with Brighton. It was beginning to become dangerous, so we changed and stopped them at the first line. We controlled this better, and I can't argue with that.
Can't argue with that. Let's talk Barcelona.
And I'm going to say something that will make no sense, but I will explain myself. Hansen is the most overrated, underrated player. And what I mean by that is we forget what she does because of the talent that Barcelona has. And then she'll do something phenomenal like the goal against Chelsea. And everybody goes, oh yeah, Hansen's actually pretty good. And it's like, yes, she is.
Well, don't you want to just say that she's underrated then? That she's a really great player?
But the thing is, she's underrated, but she's the most common. Like, you look at any list of European players, it's like, who's the most underrated player in Europe? And she's on every list as being one of the most underrated. So that's what I mean by she's overrated, underrated player, because everybody forgets what she does, and then she does it.
I mean, she was... I'm going to throw out a number. Obviously, this isn't based on data, but based on watching the game, I'm going to say she was like 70% of Barcelona's attack in that game. She was either involved in the creation of or creating the exact opportunity. And sometimes I forget just how much pace she has on her that makes her such a dual threat, because she can play that 1-2, she can play that tactical small, she's got a great touch on the ball, and she can take you down the line and get that cross in, and she was just owning that wing. She was owning that right side. Anything else on Barca? How did you feel about them shutting down how they were able to shut down that attack that Chelsea was starting to get going in that first half?
No, they did that really well. I will say for Barca, though, when Bronze did come off at 66 minutes, you sort of felt that the wind out their sails sort of dropped a little. A bit like we're saying that like Chelsea held up their hands. I think Barcelona also did the same. And they were sort of like, towards the end, we're like, okay, we're going to get a 1-0 out of this. Let's just make sure it's only 1-0. Like, they're not going to equalise.
I'd agree with that. They probably felt like they were in control of the game, being up 1-0 in the first leg in an away stadium. You know, it's difficult, but they were playing true Barcelona. They weren't sitting. They were maintaining possession. They weren't letting Chelsea have the ball. They were playing that high line to make it hard for Sam Kerr. And we've talked at length about Spain's defensive line and their underrated defense. Let's apply that here to Barcelona as well. Mape Leon is probably the most underrated, speaking of underrated players, center back in the world, in the way that she can play the ball, the way that she can read the game, the way that she can control her back line. And, you know, Barcelona is all about scoring a lot of goals, but the fact is they don't concede a lot either.
Now, moving on to the second game of the weekend, which I think was probably the more thrilling of the games. And again, didn't think it was going to go this way. But Wolfsburg versus Arsenal.
I'm just sitting here with a smile on my face because this Arsenal team has so much heart. For them to lose to United, lose Leah Williamson, unsure if their title hopes, I mean, let alone their even potentially not even making Champions League next year when we're talking about where they sit in the WSL. For that all to happen in that United game, to have to pick up and go to Wolfsburg to take on Wolfsburg, no Kim Little, no Leah Williamson, and to rally together as they did and pull out a 2-2 tie away in Wolfsburg, it's huge. I don't even have the words really to put to this other than this is a team that won because they rallied together and they know how to play together and play for each other. And that's it. And it's people stepping up in big moments. And that's what Arsenal's been this season. It's the next one up continues to step up in a massive way.
It's funny that you say about knowing how to play together, because I have to say their defense do not know how to play together without that leadership. This was probably some of the worst defending and the most disjointed play I have seen from Arsenal all season, because it was three separate players. They just didn't know what they were doing, where they were going, and why. And you can't even blame experience, because you've got Jen Beattie in that back line. Jen Beattie has been in the WSL since its creation. Like, it's just they couldn't work each other out.
Well, I think what you have to do, it's not experience necessarily per se, individual experience. What it is experience playing together, and to couple that with experience playing with a back three. Because again, you just said these three of them, this is a new formation for Arsenal. They're playing a 3-4-3, right? Which, by the way, Jonas, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And Mike, bleep me out because I'm going to say something unprofessional. Brilliant, Jonas. He said, you've decimated our defense, we'll lean into our offense. And that's exactly what he did. And coupling that with being able to pair Leah Valti and Manum together and allowing Valti to have that, I guess, putting that faith in Valti to cover the ground that she needs to cover, allowing Manum to press forward, and knowing that Valti is going to be able to cover the ground that previously he had two center mids cover. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I've gone on a tangent here, so let's go back to the back line. This is Rafaela, Jen Beattie, and Wubin Moy playing in this back line. And I think this leads us nicely onto the second goal that Arsenal conceded.
Yeah, that was a bad pass, man. Bad.
So Wolfsburg go up 1-0, and it's a goal kick. Rafaela looks like she's gonna play it wide and instead turns in. Absolutely, Jen Beattie was not ready for that pass back. But also, Rafaela literally played a square ball into her own 6-yard box.
Yep.
They're both to blame. It was because of exactly what we're talking about. These two have not played together like this in this formation. It was a pure miscommunication.
Absolutely. But even with the first goal, there was no marking of some like really crucial players. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't blame them as such, because they have been thrown into this situation which none of them were expecting. I mean, Jen Beattie has been a sub for most of this season, so they don't expect it. But again, it just felt like Arsenal forgot basic football. Like, ball's coming in, what do? You mark a player. Like,
in the back line, yes. But in the rest of the field, absolutely not. The way they were working that ball around, and, Pelova had an incredible game. Blackstenius was working so hard and ended up getting that equalizer and so deserved on that cross in from Pelova. Both of them working so hard the entire game, and for them to able to pull that off. I mean, let's talk about Wolfsburg for a second, because my goodness, Jonsdottir and Pajor are so incredibly dangerous. Like, yes, we can give it to the Arsenal back three for not being as organized as they needed to. Frankly, in the scheme of everything, I thought that they did a great job considering who they were facing.
No, 100% I agree. I think Wolfsburg seem to have like gone under, like you said, underrated. They've gone under the radar in terms of European football for a while now, because it used to be always a joke that, okay, Lyon get it this year, Wolfsburg get it next year, Lyon get it this year, like, and it was a bit of a running joke. But their forwards are playing some of the most beautiful football I have ever seen. Is the honest answer.
Yeah, and I mean, let's not forget, too, that sitting just behind them are Lena Oberdorf and Jill Roord, orchestrating this entire attack. And what we were most excited for, before all of the Arsenal injuries, was the fact that these two teams play a very similar style of football. And it was just that type of game. It was back and forth. It was figuring each other out, and the flow of the game moving from Arsenal to Wolfsburg. And I suppose I just want to give some spotlight and some credit to Jon Statier and Payor, because in both of these games, in all of these performances, they delivered some of the best ones we saw all weekend. So speaking of Lena Oberdorf, I don't think we can move on from this game without, you don't want to talk about this, but I want to talk about this because it's hilarious. It's everywhere. Lena Oberdorf went into attack. Listen, the way she went in was dirty.
Yeah.
And it was late. And she clipped, I believe it was Valti. Was it Valti? She clipped Valti. And Valti went down hard.
Yeah.
It looked like she could have been injured on that play in a bad way.
Yeah.
And in classic Katie McCabe fashion, she comes running up and like body checks Oberdorf to the ground, basically. They're both awarded yellow cards. Fair play, Allie, or no?
No, it's not. And do you know what? Like, the thing is, I like Kate McCabe. I respect how she plays, but she's better than this. And this is what's frustrating me, because what this didn't come off as protecting a teammate. This is not that. This was, she's seen red and she's gone for it, and it's so bad because she's such a better player than that. She's such a physical and brilliant player. And this behaviour is getting us such a reputation that, God forbid she ever wants to leave Arsenal. God forbid that she wants to move on with her career. What team's going to take her? Because they're just going to go, yeah, you're a good player, but Jesus, you're going to miss every one game out of 5 because of the yellow cards you've picked up.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would agree with a lot of that.
Yeah.
The main reason it bothers me is, look, I'm all for Katie McCabe defending her teammate. I want her to go get in Oberdorf's face for that. But do I want her to jeopardize her team, get a yellow card, and potentially get sent off the field in the future because she got a second when Arsenal's already hurting from injuries? No, if I were to have a problem with it, that's my main problem with it, to be honest. Like, if I'm on Katie's team, I'm looking at her, I'm saying, don't be an idiot. Don't let your emotions get to you, because that, at the end of the day, might hurt us. Predictions, Allie. Let's do Barca, Chelsea.
I think Barca are going to take it. I think it's because it's at home. It's at Barca.
Give us a scoreline.
3-1.
I'm gonna be bold, and I'm gonna say it's a 2-1 Chelsea.
Oh,
why not?
Why not?
Why not?
But then it goes to pens when you do that. Who's gonna win that?
You know who I think is advancing, and at the end of the day, I do think Barcelona's the better team. But my bracket has Chelsea to mix it up, so let's do it. Arsenal hosting Wolfsburg.
2-0. Arsenal.
You think that Arsenal can keep Wolfsburg completely off of the score sheet?
At home, yeah. 100%.
Oh, I think Wolfsburg are going to come in with something to prove. I honestly think this game could end up in a 2-2 tie. I'm going to go again. Yeah. I think that there's going to be some goals in this game. I'm going 3-2 Arsenal. You know what? Actually, I'm sorry. My bracket has Wolfsburg advancing. So let me switch that up. I'm going 3-2 Wolfsburg.
Such
2 away victories.
Terrible Arsenal fan.
I'm just trying to stay true to what I initially put in my bracket. I'm trying not to flip-flop here, Allie. Moving on from the Champions League into the WSL, first and foremost, we want to welcome Bristol City back to the WSL.
They are back.
I'm so excited for this. I love watching Bristol City, and I mean, they've played so well all year. I'm excited to see them back competing in the WSL.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I will have to say, their coming back has had a mixed response.
How so?
To be honest, because some people are like really super excited because of like they are a staple of the WSL, and then there are certain fans are like, all right, easy win, which I think is really unfair.
I think if anybody's learned anything, it's that there aren't all that many easy wins anymore in the
Tell that to
WSL. The
Arsenal
season
fans. Tell that
literally
to Arsenal
started.
fans.
I am an Arsenal fan. This season literally kicked off with Liverpool beating Chelsea in the first game of the WSL.
Yeah, no, I know. But yeah, no, I'm super excited the Bristol are coming back. It will be an interesting away day for me. But yeah, I'm excited.
Let's talk about the table, because with Bristol City coming up, somebody's going down.
Yes.
And things are moving and shaking, and frankly, I feel like I've said this multiple times about the WSL, but once again, the bottom of the table race is equally as, if not more exciting than the top of the table race right now.
I say it's more exciting. I think I think who's going to drop is more exciting than the top of the race at the moment.
We have Brighton coming off of their stellar FA Cup performance that we covered in our last week's episode. And they just, my hope for them was that they were going to take that performance and bring it into the league. And they did. They were able to close out a 3-2 win against Everton. It catapulted them in the standing. So now we've got Brighton, who everybody thought was going down. Now they're sitting in 10th place, playing well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I still think they're going to go down, though, you know. Still think they're going down. Sorry, Mike.
Okay, that hasn't changed your mind.
No, I still think they're going down.
But I think that this brings up a lot of questions. The fact that they were able to turn it around, it brings up a lot of questions here when everybody thought that that's how it was going to fall.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So I think Brighton are playing phenomenally well. Like, new manager bounce and all that. And Mel is a cracking manager. We saw it at London City. So, yeah, I am excited by Brighton, but I have a horrible feeling it's a little too late. But that does lead us to Spurs. And are they safe? Because they played Aston Villa this weekend, which ended up being a 3-3 draw. If you told me at the beginning of the day that that's what the result would be, I would say Spurs would be uber happy with that, considering the form that Villa are on. However, they did go 3-2 up against Villa, and it was a goal in like the 84th minute that to a tie. And that seems to be an ongoing thing with, again, we've talked about Spurs, that they've strengthened the wrong thing. But defensively, you know, to let that slip.
I think it's a good question to ask if they're safe. They've only won one of their last 5, similar to all of the 3 teams that are below them in the table have only won one of their last 5. I think it's a big question. Are they safe? And frankly, I'm sorry, but I have to add in West Ham, who sit just above Tottenham. They've dropped 4 of their last 5. Allie, are you worried?
No, I'm not worried, because we've got 4 games left, and we are playing 3 out of the 4 teams that are below us. The only other team we've got is Chelsea. I think we can take Brighton, Leicester, and Spurs. You know, come back to me if we lose against Brighton and Leicester, but no, I'm not worried as a West Ham fan.
For me, if you're looking at the table, anything from 7th spot in Liverpool down, we could end up in any order here.
Yes.
And that's what's most fun about this race. Obviously, it's the 10, 11, 12 spot where we've got Leicester City, Reading, and Brighton all sitting 1 point away from each other, but anything is going to happen in these next weeks. But let's move from the bottom of the table to the top, because mainly, let's talk about this. I think it's going to get lost because we had Champions League, and it was a while ago, but we had the big clash, the big top of the table clash of Manchester United versus Arsenal, and the forever unfortunate game that will just always be known not as United winning 1-0, but as the game in which Leah Williamson tore her ACL.
We'll touch on Williamson in a bit. I have to say, though, it wasn't the giant killing clash that I thought it was going to be.
But I think that it's all encompassing. I think that it wasn't, because she went down and everybody was like, well, F this.
That's the thing. Like, you look at the Arsenal game that they had at Arsenal, the 3-2, which was thrilling. This game was just so lackluster, and it was so like down because obviously Williamson went, that even Man United have to say that it wasn't their best performance.
Yeah. United would have been remiss to not pull out a win in that scenario with all of that happening. And it's so unfortunate for Arsenal in every state, but in every way, but it does beg the question. It makes us ask, what does this mean for Arsenal, for their title hopes, and for, frankly, their Champions League hopes? Because now they're sitting What's that?
Title's gone. The title has gone.
Title's gone. I agree. And I'm worried, I think, that Champions League is gone because now Arsenal don't control their own fate, right? Arsenal are sitting 38 points, 2 below Chelsea. Chelsea have a game in hand. 3 below City, although Arsenal do have a game in hand. And 6 below United. And so at this moment, Arsenal don't control their own destiny. They have to win out all of the rest of their games and hope that Manchester City loses. Now, there's a big City and United versus United game coming up. And no doubt, Arsenal will certainly be rooting for United in that. Because if City drop that, that is Arsenal's sole, frankly, hope that they can hang on and make the Champions League for next year. Otherwise, we will not be seeing the Gunners in the Champions League.
Unless they win it.
Unless they win it.
Unless they win it.
Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world. I didn't sing it last week because I was alone and I didn't want to sing to myself.
Over to Germany. The title race is hotting up. Bayern Munich have leapfrogged Wolfsburg with a convincing win against Freiburg. There is only 1 point between the two teams, and as predicted, it is likely to go down to the final day.
Over to Spain. A loss for Levante has allowed Atletico Madrid to close the gap on the third Champions League spot. Both teams must win out all games to stand a chance of competing next year.
To Italy, and what a game this weekend for Roma, beating closest rivals Juve 3-2, coming back from a goal down twice to seal the win in the 86th minute. Roma are now well on their way to winning their first championship.
And finally, over to Mexico. Guadalajara won this weekend, giving themselves some crucial breathing space between them and Monterrey. As ever, with La Liga MX, you cannot predict who is going to finish where. With these results, anything can happen.
Have you checked out Total Football Analysis yet? TotalFootballAnalysis.com provides researched analysis on loads of football games, including women's football. Want to know why Miedemar scores so many goals? Do you want to explore how City have turned it around this season? Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and sign up to learn more about the beautiful game. We have a special discount for listeners of the Women's Soccer Show. At checkout, type WOSO10 to get a full year for €10. That's €40 off the yearly subscription. Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and type WOSO10 at checkout.
Over to the NWSL, and our game of the week is the Southern California derby of Angel City versus San Diego Wave. This game has been hyped up. This is Juliet's first game back into the NWSL for 2 years now. So this game had all eyes on it.
This was certainly the game that I was most excited about for the weekend. I mean, there were a lot of great matchups, but it's a budding rivalry. It really is. And some of the commentary on this game, they were like, oh, I expected it to be more open, like more like a rivalry game where both teams wanted it. I felt that's exactly what it was. Just because it wasn't as transitional necessarily as an NWSL game might be, doesn't mean it wasn't an open rivalry game. And frankly, this is a game where the scoreline, to me, does absolutely not indicate what happened on the field. And I thought Angel City performed as good as I've ever seen them play, if not better. And I mean, we just have to say it. Is this because of Julie Ertz? Is it that?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, I think that it's a part of it, but you go first.
No. I think she's obviously a factor and she is a huge thing. Do I think that she's changed a team within being there for 3 days? Absolutely not. No, I think Angel City were a new team and they're building themselves and they're bringing themselves together. Is she a cog and an important cog? For sure. But let's dial down this Juliet's, wizardry thing that everybody is talking about.
Juliet's will save us all, everybody. She will save us all. Look, is Juliet's the be-all, end-all savior of this team? Absolutely not. That is absurd. However, I I do think that they are a more dynamic team with Julie Ertz in the number 6 role, for the same reason that anybody would be a more dynamic team with Julie Ertz in the number 6 role. And that is because she covers so much ground, because she is everywhere, because she's such a defensive and frankly offensive presence, it opens up more options for the other central midfielders. And specifically Weatherholt, who was playing the number 6 position for Angel City before, but is more naturally kind of like an 8 role, who wants to play more attacking, who wants to be up and down the field. And the fact that now Ertz can sit and Weatherholt has that freedom to roam, they've become a more dynamic team naturally because of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will give that. And also another shout out to a great player that was very dynamic, which was Alyssa Thompson. Alyssa Thompson,
oh, God,
for me,
yeah. She was everywhere.
Was probably my player of the match because she is a phenomenal young talent. We all know this with her drafting and everything else like that. We know that. But she was, as you said, absolutely everywhere on that pitch. Like, she was giving San Diego so many problems. She was so unlucky. There was a where she pinged a beautiful ball in, and thank God the San Diego goalkeeper, because that would have surely been the first goal of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Alyssa, goodness, I totally agree. She played so well. And I mean, to use the word dynamic again, she adds that element to Angel City as well. And I want to credit her not just for her offense, but she was tracking back so much on defense, and you love to see it from somebody whose focus really is scoring goals. Now, she was technically playing in the midfield position, but you really wouldn't have known that with how many times she found herself on the touchline.
Exactly.
In the offensive third. She was literally everywhere, totally. Angel City, really the only place that they went wrong in this game was they were caught on that counterattack for the first goal, and I can't even blame them for the second goal because it was a deflection, and it happens, and that sucks. But that first goal, they were caught on the counterattack, and frankly, a defensive error, giving Jakobsen so much space to shoot.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, you can't let Jakobsen have that amount of space. Just have to quickly say, a second mistake that Angel City made was taking Ertz off straight after they conceded that goal. Yes, I get that they are probably conserving her and minutes because obviously she's not played for 2 years. But when Ertz has been like your prime playmaker in the middle and you've just gone down 1-0, why are you taking her off? Why?
All right, let's talk San Diego. Korniak was missing. She was sick. And to be totally honest, I think it was one of those situations where you start to learn how integral a player is to a team when they're missing. The connection between the midfield and the forward line was missing, and it's clear that she's a big part of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They technically have more possession, I believe, in this game, but you watch that game and you don't feel like they did. The possession probably came from defending their half, is the honest answer, because Angel City were all over them, but they didn't have that pinpoint striker. That's what they're missing.
I'd agree, and they didn't have as many dangerous opportunities as Angel City whatsoever. Angel City also did a great job. I mean, talking about the midfield and talking about Korniak. Danielle Colaprico is a massive part of San Diego's midfield, and she pulls a lot of the strings within that midfield, and Angel City clearly knew that and made a point to make sure the ball was not at her feet, and that's a lot of also what went wrong here for San Diego is they couldn't find her feet, and when they couldn't find her feet, they were missing that connection.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's they got the win. As Casey said, they pushed their luck. They're happy that they got the 3 points, but it's something they're going to have to look back on and see how they can, because another team will punish them like Portland or something like that.
Truly. And these teams will meet again, and they will remember this game, and Paige Nielsen will remember this game, and it's going to be another fun matchup. Let's move on from game chat and let's talk a couple big news stories that came out of the NWSL this weekend.
Yeah, so the big one is Kansas City have fired head coach Matt Potter. We've talked about it before that something wasn't going right at Kansas City, and it was such a sudden firing that I believe even the players found out on social media.
Yeah, I don't know if it was social media. It was definitely around the same time that the public found out. And yeah, they had a press conference that day because they had a game that day. And they were very vocal about that, the fact that it was hard for them as players, because when you travel, you don't necessarily travel with your entire team. So they were divided and trying to have this big team meeting about this big important moment. Lola Bonta was really open about, how difficult that was. And frankly, how surprised a lot of the players were.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But like we said, we've highlighted it before. There was some issues. We talked on News in 10, the Twitter feed from Makaya Minis's mum about relationships and the experience that she'd had at Kansas. And we're also seeing...
Yeah, let's get into that for a second. We don't have to do the whole thing, but for those of you who haven't gotten to hear the News in 10 that we did highlighting this, I believe actually we talked about it on an episode as well. Yeah, Allie, do you want to explain a little bit, just like a what's it called, a cliff notes of what happened?
Basically, this player, Makaya, was drafted to Kansas City, went over and had a terrible experience, both physically, emotionally. Everything that could go wrong, was given no feedback about their play, nothing. Started in their first preseason game, I believe, and then literally the next day was told, sorry, we don't want you anymore, and away you go. And it's basically made this player drop out of playing football. And it seems that this is Kansas's MO, that other players have come out, especially with Matt Potter, that it seems he's not been fired for results, he's been fired for his person.
Well, that's the thing about this, and I feel like let's get into it, because I don't, this is the first player that's the only player I've heard speak out against Matt Potter, for the record. Also, I will say Ella Massar, who was an assistant coach, she's a Houston NWSL legend. She was the assistant coach last year for Kansas City. She's now an assistant coach for Chicago. Did post something on Twitter saying basically, I'm not going to say anything, but actions speak louder than words. And I think we can all understand she's saying, I'm not there for a reason. But look, Kansas City's statement was underwhelming.
Yeah, so this is the statement from Kansas City, which is... We watch the play on the pitch, we keep a pulse on the locker room, we are constantly evaluating ways to improve our club. Through our ongoing process of continual improvement, we believe now is the right time for this change. You've played 3 games, so it's...
Yeah, so the statement to me, it reads like he's lost the locker room.
Yeah.
But my bigger point about this is that in light of everything that's come out about the NWSL in the past couple of years, there just absolutely needs to be deeper explanations for a coach's firing, more transparency that doesn't leave everybody speculating about what's happened, because quite frankly, everybody right now has some trauma around this.
Yeah.
And worse, everybody's going to speculate the worst right now because nobody has denied the worst. So there needs to be some kind of precedent here for clubs. I don't know necessarily what that looks like. We're not here to solve that problem right now. I'm just saying, in this moment, I think it's becoming clear that in the NWSL, when a head coach gets released, fired, when teams and coaches part ways, there needs to be some deeper explanation as to why, because otherwise everybody will be left with a question mark and waiting for the next shoe to drop. All right, from bad news to good news in the head coaching. Yeah, you want to go for it?
I was going to say, because we are going from the absolutely dregs to the absolutely brilliant news that A-Rod is back, baby, and has been announced as the head coach of the newly formed Utah Royals. I am so excited.
The reality of this is that she only has 1 or 2 years as an assistant coach under her belt. So she doesn't have a lot of coaching experience, but she's a legend of the club. She's a legend of the league. She's a legend of soccer, period. Everybody loves her. I posted on our Twitter, on all of our socials, I clipped together the incident from that Portland, Utah game that I still think about on a regular basis. And I've rewatched that game multiple times just to see those incidents happen. I mean, it's got a Becky Sauerbrunn goal, for God's sake. That game is epic. Tim, who does a lot of Patreon and has been on the main show with us, Tim texted me that this had happened, and I genuinely thought he was pranking me. And when I found out it was real news, I was beside myself. I love this hiring. Why not? Let's see what happens.
I am going to say something very bold because I like to make wild predictions. I have a feeling that A-Rod is going to end up being like the next Casey Stoney in the fact that she may not have the coaching experience, but look at Stoney. Stoney went into Man United with very little coaching experience. And I have the same feeling about A-Rod in the fact that the type of player she was and the way she is so respected and so well loved within this game that players are going to flock to come to Utah to come play under her. And I have a feeling she's going to be the next Casey Stoney.
I love it. From the NWSL to Scotland, everybody. We're talking Scotland here for a moment because there was a massive matchup last week between first place Glasgow City and third place Rangers. And we have to talk about this wild game.
What a game this was. This was absolutely insane. So Rangers get an early goal, first 20 minutes, and they are cruising for like most of the game.
I don't think I've seen the ball hit the post as many times as I did in this game. And that includes that game from Gotham last year where it hit the post like 17 times. This game might have tied that. Just opportunity after opportunity. It's such an exciting game.
So they're cruising along. They're going to get this win. And then drama, last 10 minutes, Glasgow City get an equaliser. And like you're gutted. You are gutted for Rangers because they are like so up there, so ready to go. And then in the 94th minute, they managed to grab a great goal to make it 2-1, which has now pushed them closer to the league. There's now like 3 points in it between Glasgow City, Celtic and Rangers. And this is a title race I am so excited about. I am so excited.
Yeah, Glasgow City has not run away with this all that quite yet. Rangers are now sitting just 1 point below Celtic. And, Glasgow City are only sitting 6 points at a Celtic. So it's not over by any means. And that is it for a jam-packed episode for us here at the Women's Soccer Show. We'll be back next week. As always, we've got more Champions League. We got more WSL. We got more NWSL. It continues. So for the Women's Soccer Show, I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie.
Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to go check us out on Patreon. Follow us on social. And we'll see you next week.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.